If we abuse this land, it doesn't produce. And if it doesn't produce, we're out of business. I mean, it's that simple. My name's Peter Hazel. I'm the manager of Humphrey Farm. Humphrey Farm is in the north central part of Ohio. And where we're at right today is actually on a rental farm, but we're real close to the main farm. We're taking off with the last field of field corn. It's about 90 some acres, and the yields are good on this field, so we're gonna have a lot of truckloads to haul. So that's a good problem. So we raise popcorn, field corn, which we're standing by a field of field corn right now, winter wheat, and soybeans. There's a perception out there maybe that we use, too many chemicals, for example. Well, we only use enough to control the weeds and to take care of the pests. Any overuse is, well, actually it's illegal, but it's detrimental because it costs so much. I mean, we want to get by with just the least amount as possible. A good case in point is we used to just spread fertilizer, several hundred pounds per acre on every acre. Didn't matter. We just went out and spread it. Well, now what we're doing is we're taking soil samples every acre and a half on a grid system on each and every field. It will map out the phosphorus and potassium and lime, which is the pH. And then it paints a picture and it shows you where the high spots are, where the low spots are. Well, then our fertilizer applicator, when they come in, they can program their machines to only spread a certain amount on if they need a little higher on low areas, a little lower on high areas. Number one, it saves us money because you're not just dumping fertilizer on all over the whole field, and so it saves us money, and it's better for the environment. In this heavy clay soil, when you over-till it, if you overwork the soil and you get heavy rains, you'll have erosion, severe erosion, which that clogs up rivers and streams and with the silt. Recently, we've taken part in what's called the H2 Ohio program, which there's money available through the state to help pay for cover crops. Well, now cover crops are crops that you seed in the fall, and they start to grow in the fall, and you get a cover over the winter, and that keeps the erosion down, and it keeps your nutrient loss down, because when you lose soil, you lose nutrients as well. And the idea behind this is that we're cutting down that silting or that erosion that's going into the lakes and rivers and then eventually into Lake Erie. There's a huge problem with it's phosphorus and nitrogen loading in the lake, and that's promoting some blue-green algae growth. And we need to cut down on the amount of those nutrients flowing into the lake because it's not good for the lake. It's very hazardous. Our goal is not to harm anything, the soil at all. Our goal is to treat it the best way we possibly can because we know that's where our livelihood comes from. It comes from the land.
We think in our case that we can maintain the 50 or 60 cows that we have and do that year in and year out with minimal resources coming from outside. We're here at our farm where we raise shorthorn cattle in Perry County. Susie and I are the owners of this property and the managers and the labor force. So it pretty much, if it gets done, we do it. We're on a reclaimed ground from a silica mine years ago. And so this is reclaimed much like strip mining for coal, where the topsoil and subsoil has been removed and then put back after mining. It took about 20 feet of rock out of here. We're on about 215 acres and we raise shorthorn cattle, purebred shorthorn cattle. And we have about 60 cows that we sell them breeding stock. We sell show calves, particularly shorthorn steers from this operation. We are the first owners of this as a farm. We bought it from the mining company. And one of the challenges we've had is erosion. And when we got here, there was a lot of erosion that already happened. Because once the water will break through the topsoil, then the rest of it below that is just going to go. So part of our thinking was let's improve the quality of the grasses the best we can. Let's make the root system better to slow the water down, to stop erosion. That's been our major focus. So we get a lot of water here, as everybody does in Ohio, and to control it is a challenge.
So we started working with FSA, Soil and Water, the EQIP programs to understand really what we needed to do. We weren't necessarily experts in that, we just knew there were things that needed to be done. And so we worked with them to put plans together to come up with a programmed approach to kind of fixing the farm, if you will. We started with fencing to begin with, then we went to more intensive fencing, so we had rotational grazing. We've got about 31 paddocks here that we move them through. And so just improving the soil quality there was one part of it. With that came the need for the component of water. We have a pipeline that runs the length of the farm that we have automatic waters in that we can feed multiple paddocks from. And then we put in some springs. We were able to develop springs and then drain those to a stock tank. A few years ago, with the weather changes, such intense wetness in the spring, it became a real challenge to feed cattle. They're out on the pasture virtually 365 days a year, and we unroll large hay bales. And the ground was so soft that we were tearing up the soils. So we had to devise a plan almost every day on how we were going to feed the cows. We were literally feeding them on the road that runs through the farm for a few days. And we decided at that point we would build a hay storage and feeding facility so that all our hay was stored inside, and then we could move hay up to the feeding slats and keep the cows off of the paddocks and not destroy the soil.
Our cows here, and part of our selection within this breed has been cows that are easy fleshing, can take care of themselves, rebreed, have calf unassisted, etc. And part of that is our cows are out 360 days a year. They may be in the barn for a day or two if they calve, but then they're back out here. So the better conservation we do, then the more production we get from our grasses, the more productivity we get from the soil that we have. So the better job we do, the more grass we produce, the more cows we can keep, or the cows are in better shape, the calves grow faster. So in a way, it stems from trying to produce better beef cattle. And so how do we do that? Well, we're all beef cattle people are in the business of selling grass, really. So the better job we do in this soil and managing the grasses we have, the better job we're going to do with cattle. So it all ties together in a very neat package.
But we're nearing the end, we hope, of major projects, and we hope now that we can just sustain what we've done, maintain it, keep a good focus on managing the paddocks, managing the woodlands, managing the ponds to meet the standards of environmental stewardship.
Sustainability for us is surviving. We all know that the cattle industry and agriculture is under a watchful eye. So we just need to implement conservation practices that not only make us feel comfortable and make our operation easier, but that the outside world that doesn't understand what we're doing on a day-to-day basis, they can look at it and feel comfortable with what we're doing. They can see that, we do care about the land, we do care about the animals. That's our first love when it comes to that, and that we can just continue to do our part and have forward-thinking minds of, what's the next issue that we're gonna run into, and just plan ahead and just be ready to face the next challenges that approach us.